Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we are going to be doing a deck profile of one of my most favorite decks of all time. I've loved playing this deck ever since it came out back in the day, and I've enjoyed playing it even to this day. And that is my Mermail deck. Yes, Mermails. I have been playing this deck for a long time. I stopped playing it for about a year and a half. And last year I picked up a lot of the pieces and I started replaying it again over a year ago. And I've enjoyed playing it so much once again. Back when I was very competitive, this was one of my most favorite decks to play before we had, Duelist Alliance era, when we had Shaddolls, Teller Knights, Burning Abyss. Before that era, this was one of my most favorite decks, hands down, to play. If I was bored at locals, I took Mermails and I went and played it. If I was bored against my friends, I took Mermails and I played it. And I've just loved the deck, and it's all of its different reincarnations. It keeps reinventing the wheel and never seems to die. But yes, this version of the deck, though, is a link spam version of the deck using Sekka of Light. There is another competitive version that can use non-Sekka of Light. The difference between the Sekka of Light engine and the Mermail deck without it is the fact that with the Sekka of Light engine, you're running multiple different engines in the deck to link spam the heck out of it and OTK your opponent or FTK your opponent. The other version is a little more grindy in its way that it plays. And you can run other, good spells like Monster Reborn, Soul Charge, Upstart Goblin, your other spells. But you got your yin and your yang with both. So first off, we got my two First Ed Secret Rare Mermail Abyss Megalo that I've had for gosh knows how long. He has gone back up in price now, but I've had these forever. But your two Mermail Abyss Megalo, you guys know what he does. He's your OTK enabler, along with Abysstius, which I got the Secret Rares. I re-picked them up because, you know what? I actually like the Secret Rare version a little bit better. But three of your Mermail Abysstius, you got three of those as well. So your Mermail line up right there, your big guys for your Mermails, that's what we run. Gosh, I love Megalo. Then for your other Mermails, we run one Pike. I've thought about cutting Pike, but every time I cut them out, I'm like, you know what, I really want Pike in the deck just because it kind of helps out in certain situations. Your one Gun, your Mermail Gun, Abyss Gun, you run one of her. And you may be asking me about these other two here for a second. Why are you running these? And we'll talk more about it in a second. And by the way, I've thought about bumping Gun up to 2 of just for fun. But you know how that goes with Gun. So next up we run one Abyss. I can never pronounce her properly because I rarely use her. Abyss Shieldin and one Abyss Dying. Now you may be asking me, why are you running these over other stuff or double Gun? Remember what I said earlier in the video. This is a link spam version of the deck. This card right here really helps with the link spamming of the deck, as well as this card, where you can just bleh on the field and go for your different combo plays by going for things, like your Skull Dread, your Borload, your Firewall, your Nightmare Engine, things of that nature. That's what these two really help with and precipitate. Depending upon the meta, depending upon the way you're building the deck, yes, you could run different Mermails in this situation. So I'll just say that. But that's where we run there. Also, you could run triple Megalo. I forgot to mention that earlier. That is something that I've seen some players do. And you could do that. But I went with double Megalo because that's been working with me a lot more than triple. But that's just my opinion from testing the deck a lot lately and playing with it. Next up, let's go to your Atlantean engine. You got your 3 Neptudis Prince. You guys should know what this bloody thing does. Great, great card. You have your 3 Dragoons, because Dragoons is back at 3 of. I do not have the ultis. I've always played with supers, and I'll probably continue to play with supers because that's just what I've always played with. Like I said, this is not max rarity Mermail. This is what I've played with, this Mary and Joseph, since the structure deck in the Abyss Rising came out back in the day. But yeah, this is the light. You run these. Prince helps you with your OTKs and all that stuff. Still an amazing card. Your Dragoons at 3 of allows you to do a whole bunch more stuff now. Dragoons being at 3 of, so definitely you run your 3 Dragoons. You also run, which I'm picking these up later, the supers. I have them, I just couldn't find them in my binder. You run 2 heavy infantry. Now, you really don't need to run pike anymore. You could run 1 pike or 2 pike. I mean, it depends upon the meta. But heavy infantry is putting in more work for me than pike is right now. I would love to hear your thoughts if you still run pike in your Mermail deck, depending upon the different builds you're running, if it's more of a control variation. But in this variation of the deck and playing against the meta a lot, heavy infantry is putting in a lot more work, so I run him as a 2 of still in the deck compared to pike. With pike, it does stuff, but not as much as I really want it to do. And it's not as good as it used to be, sadly. But that's just me. So that's my Atlantean engine in the deck. Pretty standard lineup, besides not having pike in it. And then we run, because we're running the Seto engine, we have to run other engines to make up for not running a lot of spells and some of the traps if you want to run it that way. So we run the Nimble engine as well. So the 3 Nimble Angler, the 1 Nimble Sunfish, and the 1 Nimble Beaver. Now, from play testing this out, I have tried Nimble Manta, which does work in the deck, and it's something you could try out because it's another Nimble card that does different things. But I decided to take that out and run Nimble Sunfish recently because Sunfish was a little bit more better. It was doing a little bit more for me. But this engine is amazing in the deck, and honestly, I think it should be in any Mermail deck profile or any deck build. It's so amazing. It can just help you go for big, freaky, like link spam boards. It can help you go for totally awesome very easily. It's just such a great engine in this deck, and I am not joking. I literally feel like it's staple in Mermails now. You could run double Nimble Beaver, but I prefer to run 1 of because 2 of got cloggy. But this ratio right here, I really, really like in the deck. It's worked out fairly well from play testing and testing the deck out. Like I said, you could run Nimble Manta in the deck, or you could run Nimble Sunfish. It's up to you, but I like Sunfish in the deck. He's been working out for me. Then we run your Gen X lineup, which is your 3 Gen X controller, excuse me, your 3 Gen X Undyne and your 1 controller. You guys know what this does. This has always been in pretty much Mermails. It comes out here and there depending upon the meta, but nowadays it pretty much stays in the deck because Dragoons is at 3 of. I do need 1 more super though, and I can never find somebody that actually has a super rare Undyne for some bloody reason. But I got my DT stuff here too. I love this deck, guys, so that's why I've really hollowed it out throughout the years, but I need 1 more super. But yeah, your Undyne and your 1 controller, you guys know how this works, if you're familiar with Mermails at all. Then we run also, like I said, if we were running other stuff, a different variation of Mermails, we wouldn't be running this many engines, but we also run the Frog engine in the deck, which is 3 Swap Frog and 1 Rodent Totem. Now, I had a friend I was talking to who also plays Mermails, and he's saying, well, you know, you could run double Rodent, which technically you could, but you really just need 1 in the graveyard, and then you just keep abusing that Rodent Totem, correct? So that's why I decided to run 1 of to streamline the deck just a little bit more. But you could technically run 2 of. I play tested it about a couple of weeks ago. It worked fine, but it's up to you to decide, depending upon your ratio of how many you want to put into the deck, if you want to run triple Rodent or if you want to run 1 Rodent. Up to you, but definitely you still run your 3 Swap Frog. This helps with your link spam, helps you go for Exceed plays, for your Totally Awesome. You guys know where this engine's going. Then we have some cards that really don't have a place in the deck, but you run them in the deck because they really help the deck out. And that is 1 Christian Phoenixian, 2 Gamma Seal, which we'll talk about more in a second, and your 1 Deep Sea Diva. So Deep Sea Diva and, excuse me about that, Mamul Glacia. So these really necessarily, they're their own things. Christian Phoenix, what it allows you to do is you're allowed to put it into the graveyard. When Needle Fiber comes out, this card would be a lot better. But what you're able to do is put this in the graveyard, and then you're able to banish it to get a token, which you can use to go for link plays. That's the main reason you run it. Molin Glacia, you know what Molin Glacia does amazingly. Deep Sea Diva, you run as many as you can in this deck because it's Deep Sea Diva and it's amazing. I have considered maybe running like a couple of water, like level, there's a couple of them out there that I've thought about running. which are like level 5s and level 6s, because you can use Diva to go, you know, as being a tuner, you can do stuff with it. But as time has gone on, and I've gotten more into the Link format, those Link monsters are better, and they precipitate into bigger Link monsters than going for these synchro plays. So you could run some synchros in the deck if you wanted to use it with, you know, Diva, but I'm usually using her to go for Link plays, or using her to go for other things. But it's up to you how you want to run the deck. But your Mullen Glacia, First Ed, I've had this forever as well. So a lot of First Ed stuff I got in here because I've had the deck forever. Then we also run the 2 Gamma Seal. You guys know this helps you get around big problematic things. You can get over Gamma Seal very easily. It's a water type. You can pop it to, you know, if you need to. So you get where this is going. Gamma Seal is a 2 of in the deck. Then we run our hand traps, which are 2 Ash Blossom. Depending upon your matchup, you could run Ash Blossom as a 3 of. You could run Ogre as a 3 of. You could run Drill and Lock as a 3 of. You could run Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion in the deck as well. Hand traps in this deck fit very well. If you wanted to take a certain engine out of the deck because you say, hey, I want to play more hand traps in the deck, go right ahead. If you wanted to cut maybe the Gamma Seals out for Ghost, you know, in game 2 for Ghost Ashes and Drill and Locks and Ogres and Haunted Mansions and whatever you want to run, go ahead and do that. But this is the way that I'm playing the deck, and it's been working for me. So just saying that right off the bat. And lastly, we run literally our quote-unquote pot of greed of the deck, which is Sekka of Light. This is the way why the deck is built this way, is because of this specific card and how strong it can be. If you guys are not familiar with Sekka of Light, it allows you to draw a lot of, you know, 2 cards. If you don't have any other spell cards in your graveyard, you can recycle this card back into the deck to draw another card. So it's just such a damn good card in the deck. And you run 3 of it because it literally helps you get to your OTK engines and your Link engine to do stuff. Now on to the extra deck. So for your extra deck, you run... The extra deck is very expensive. This deck is very expensive as is right now because people, they don't sell their Mermail decks. They keep them. Like me, a person that's had this Mermail deck, you know, for... How many years has it been? Like 4 or 5 years? People don't sell their Mermail decks, just like they don't sell goat stuff. But same as Light Swarms. People don't sell their Light Swarm stuff either, I've noticed throughout the years. But we got 1 Sahuja, 1 Borreload, 1 Firewall Dragon. Your big Link 4, you know, guys that you really go into. Firewall Dragon, Sahuja can win things. Borreload Dragon's still good, even though it was really good in the True Draco matchup. You still run into 2 Dracos once in a while, I still notice, but that's the lineup I run for there. You also run for your Nightmare engine, your Cerberus, your Phoenix, your Goblin, which sometimes comes in handy, your Griffin, and your Unicorn. You know, standard Link spam stuff that you run nowadays. Lastly, we run our Link Spider, which we can use with the token to do stuff, and some other things. Your Proxy Dragon, you run. And your Miss Starboy, which I love in the deck. It's so cool to have him as part of the deck nowadays. But yeah, you run these 3 other ones as well. Next up, we run Double Totally Awesome in the deck. You definitely want to run 2 Toads in the deck. I'm just going to say from playtesting the deck and playing it a lot, you want 2 Toads in the extra deck because you will usually go from 1 to 2 per duel, hands down. Then we run 1 Abyss Dweller as well, and 1 Galaxy number 42 Galaxy Eyes Tomahawk. I have thought of bumping Mermail Abyss Megalo up to 3 of, so I could go for Tomahawk more easily, which can precipitate huge Link boards, as you guys are probably familiar with. But I'm still debating on that, and more playtesting will need to be done. But that's the deck in a nutshell, guys. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. I love this deck to pieces. It is such a fun deck to play. Just casually nowadays, and even just taking it to locals to have for fun. It's still a very powerful deck. It's a deck that always will... It's been around for so long. that it literally feels like it's never going to die. It just reinvents the wheel. You think the deck is going to be dead, and it just reinvents the wheel and just keeps on chugging along. There's been a few decks like that throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history that have just done good for a long period of time, but I cannot think of one that has lasted as long as Mermail. I mean, we've had Glad Beast back in the day, lasted for years. BA lasted for years. It just never seemed to die until, you know, Link format came along. But when Cherubini comes out, that will be good again. And you can still play BA with Second of Light and reinvent the wheel that way. And Mermail, they just never seem to die. They're just such a good deck. And were very powerful and adaptable even back in the day. But I love the deck to pieces. I hope you enjoy this. If you did, go Mermails, go Mermail Atlanteans. I love this deck. And until next time, guys, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling. And I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, for the 15th time, I love this deck, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a big thumbs up. I'll see you guys next time.